Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. Um, and today we're going to be looking at something that's kind of interesting. Now, we don't have official numbers on this, but it is something to kind of keep an eye on for the future, and it's kind of the downfall, or not the downfall, but the bad end of Disney Plus for Disney in setting up for this streaming service. Now, everybody knows that The Mandalorian ended its first season on December 27th. I did a review of it on here, and the thing is that as soon as that happened, a lot of people started tweeting out to Disney that they were canceling Disney Plus because that was really the only reason that they were watching the show. They were watching the streaming service was for The Mandalorian, and now that the show is over, they were canceling their subscription and they were going to go spend their money elsewhere or something like that. So Disney Plus had a very strong initial surge, I think, because of The Mandalorian, because it did launch with the service. And I think that's also the reason, well, it's pretty obviously the reason why Disney chose to release The Mandalorian on a weekly basis, much like a normal television show, as opposed to releasing it all at once, like what Netflix does with its seasons, so people can binge them. And this kind of strung a lot of people along for at least the last couple of months of 2019. And that's probably also because it would have gone on the stock reports as that as well, because I believe, at least for Disney, the last quarter of 2019, they wanted the stock reports to be high, so it makes sense. That way they don't take a hit. That way they have a nice little upsurge in November and in December, and then you can put that on the books. It's more. I think it's more for a stock reason rather than anything else, and also because obviously they can fleece people for 2 months. But I mean, I looked on the service when I had it. There wasn't much that really caught my eye. There's not much original stuff that most people would really give a shit about outside The Mandalorian. They had some kind of interesting things like documentaries and stuff like that, and things like that. And if you got the whole bundle, if you got the Disney Plus with the Hulu and the ESPN Plus and the National Geographic, the whole bundle that's all in there, I think that might have been worth it for whatever the price was for that. But for the most part, the base service was not really worth it, at least, especially if you're only watching it for the media that's on it. A lot of the properties are still tied up, at least the streaming rights, in other services, like The Last Jedi is still tied up, I think, with Netflix and stuff like that for anybody that wants to watch that garbage. But people were questioning, like, oh, are you going to put the original cuts of the films on there, the original theatrical cuts of the original trilogy on there and stuff like that, and are people going to be able to watch? That's the kind of stuff that probably would have drawn people in and maybe got them hooked on for maybe a couple more months. But the thing is the Disney Plus did not launch with a lot of original content, and that's kind of something that Netflix has built up to over the years, where they have a very large library of original content, original shows, and stuff that people can watch on there that they themselves own, and they're coming out with new stuff frequently. Whereas Disney Plus, it's very, very staggered. You had The Mandalorian. There wasn't anything that came out concurrently with it. It was just that. And now I think the next Star Wars related content you're going to have is Kenobi, which I think is supposed to be either going into production or coming out midway through next year. And then you have the Marvel shows that are going to be on there, like Falcon, Winter Soldier, Loki, WandaVision, all that stuff. So those are probably going to be what is going to they're going to try and keep Disney Plus going. But right now, it was really just The Mandalorian. So I think you're going to see, if they do come out with the numbers, which they may not, just because it might look bad on them, they may come out with the numbers that show there probably is going to be a sharp dip in Disney Plus subscribers going from December 27th all the way up until whenever their new show is going to come out. I don't know. I think Falcon Winter Soldier is the next one that's due to come out on there for original content. So whenever that comes out, I think you're going to see an initial spike again, maybe not as hard as The Mandalorian, because The Mandalorian was very, very hyped before it came out, and for very good reason. But the other thing is, a Mandalorian now, because it's been out, people can literally just do the 7-day free sign-up, watch the entire show on there, and then just cancel it. So they really don't even have to pay. So even though subscriber numbers are probably not going to accurately reflect the amount of money they are getting from the service, and like I said, their service is still amazingly dwarfed by Netflix. Netflix, I think, still has 150 million subscribers or something along those lines. Disney Plus, I think, has just hit 20 million recently. And again, a lot of that's because of the Mandalorian. I can see that number dropping, by a couple 100,000. But it's going to be interesting moving forward to see, because Disney, what they ideally should be doing is, as soon as one of these shows ends, they got to have another one that immediately starts. So Mandalorian ended on the 27th. Okay, new show premieres on the 28th. That's ideally the kind of business model that you really want to set up with this kind of service. What you're doing right now, because they don't want to air things concurrently. And again, that's not a bad idea, especially when you're trying to stagger stuff out like this from a business perspective, anyway. And I think that's what you're going to see moving forward as the machine starts churning shit out. But they kind of also want it to go in line with the Marvel films and stuff like that, the films that are getting released in theaters. So because there's not going to be a whole lot of Star Wars content next year in terms of the theatrical films, because they're going to be taking a hiatus until 2022, I think that you're going to see a lack of Star Wars content, because right now I think all they have in the pipeline is Kenobi, and Mandalorian Season 2 has been greenlit, which I would assume Mandalorian Season 2 you're probably going to wind up seeing late next year sometime, probably around the same time the first season came out. And then Kenobi, again, I think is supposed to be coming out sometime over the summer. And then you're going to have those Marvel shows kind of sprinkled in. But I'd be curious to see if they actually manage to do anything else with the content that they have. If there's any kind of other Disney stuff they're going to try to exploit. Because, again, those are their two big properties. You have Star Wars and Marvel, even though Star Wars is kind of in the shitter right now. But it's something to take note of. And again, we don't have official numbers. I don't know if we're ever going to get official numbers on that. Disney's kind of fudgy on that stuff as usual, because they obviously don't want the public to know that their streaming service is hemorrhaging money or hemorrhaging subscribers because their hit show just had its last episode. But I want to know what your opinion is. Do you think that Disney Plus is going to flounder until the next big show comes out? Do you think that The Mandalorian is really the only reason why a lot of people subscribe to the service? And on top of that, if you have Disney Plus, and now that The Mandalorian is over and you've watched it, are you going to keep the service? So again, put your thoughts in the comments below. I'd like to know what you're thinking. Hit the bell for notifications, hit the like button, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?